Right, another quick review for you, or this is, I don't know whether this is a review or a tip, but this is basically, actually I'm going to call this a tip. This is a tip for zig rig fishing. Now, if you've seen a lot of my earlier videos, you will probably see I've done a lot of zig rig fishing, especially on the likes of places like Linear and Shearwater, those sort of venues where you've got a good change of depth, and zig waters are a really good choice to go with throughout the year. So basically, I've used quite a few of the zig rig sort of kits, the little packs you get, storage solutions for like pre-tied zigs basically. So when you've tied them all up, ways to actually keep them nice and organised within your kit. Now, I used to use the Fox zig discs, but what I found with them is they were quite an unusual shape in that they were quite awkward to pack into bags. I like things to be quite square, so that they're easier to sort of pack into your luggage or put them inside stuff. So I decided to get rid of my Fox fly disc and buy whatever it's called, zig disc, Fox zig disc. So I decided to get rid of that and do some of it myself and find my own solution. Now, one thing with zigs is what you find is you tend to get through a lot of them. If you have a really hectic session, you catch a lot of fish, you do get through a lot of them, so it pays to have a lot tied up. And the problem with a lot of the ones around at the moment is you can only store a couple of rigs on each spool that they supply. And I think the most you can have really is sort of maybe 25, I think. I mean, maybe there are others out there, I don't know, but from what I've seen, I think the most you can store is about 25. Now, if you're fishing 3 rods and you're fishing a day or 24 hours, there's not actually that many rigs. The thing with zig rigs, they tend to take a bit of a battering because they're so long. They do take quite a lot of wear and tear through each bite you get, so I tend to replace them quite frequently. You know, I tend to replace them quite frequently. Even every fish, I tend to sort of replace them. So if you're catching sort of 10-20 fish a session, like a lot of these sort of venues you would be using zig rigs on, you tend to get quite a lot, then you're probably going to have to replace them quite frequently. So what I come up with is I found this, which is the Tronics Pro, and I think it's called the Tronics Pro Rig Solution. And as you can see, it's there you go, Tronics Pro Rig Winder Solution, I think it's called. And basically, zoom back in, this is designed for sea fishing, so it's designed for putting on your sea traces basically. But what I found with it is it's absolutely perfect for zig rigs. Reason being is you essentially get these little coils. I'll show you one with some on. You get these little winders inside, and as you can see there, and you just put your rig on them like you would, and I just use a little pin just to hold it in place. So very standard, like you do on the sort of big discs. Now, okay, these aren't a foot round like say the Fox version, but this box is quite literally 12 inches long. So you can actually use the length of the box to measure your zigs, and then once you've measured them, you can then wrap them around your discs. Okay, so as you can see, you can get quite a few on here. So each of these will take, say, 4, I'd say, hook links comfortably, or sort of at their max without them getting too jumbled up and disorganised. And you can fit 6 in here, so you've got 24 rigs just in one of these. You could fill the whole thing. I tend to just use 3. So as you can see, you've got quite a lot of rigs you can play with. This M1, what I tend to do with this is use it for keeping my little plastics in. I put like a beta needle, hair stops, any sort of rig applications you might need. Sometimes a pack of hooks and the rig materials and that for actually tying the rigs up themselves. That way you can keep it all in one go. So if you know all you're going to be doing is zig fishing for the day, all you need is this essentially and some leads, and off you go, you're good to go. So it's quite a nice little way of keeping everything up together for your actual zig fishing. The different colours, basically for different lengths of zigs. So what I tend to do is have 3, 6, 8, 10 and 12. So the reason I do that is because the 3s and 6s are the ones I use the most, because I tend to use I tend to use zig floats quite a lot, so the adjustable floats, because I use 10-foot rods. If I've got quite deep water, I tend to put on a zig float because it allows me to cast easier and further, and also adjust the depth without having to bring it in and obviously change the rig. I've then got The 8-foots, which are the ones I tend to use most when I'm fishing sort of fixed, because 8-foot tends to be sort of mid-depth to 3/4 depths on a lot of lakes that I fish. And then I've got the 10-foot and the 12-foots. I don't keep so many 12-foots, there's not many places I go where I'm going to use a 12-foot zig. So I've only got 2 winders with sort of maybe 4 to 6 rigs on, something like that. And then I've got a few of these. The reason I have a few of the 10-foot ones, they're quite good for cutting down. So if you do run out and you want to quickly get a rig out, they're quite good for cutting down and then sort of making up if you haven't got any others done. So if you've run out of 8-foots and you want one, you haven't got any left, you can just trim 2 foot off of the 10-foots, tie them up, and you're good to go. Anyway, that's my zig box. Check them out. They're not very expensive. I think they're sort of between £5 and £10, something like that. So they're not a lot of money. You will need to buy yourself some extra pins. But if you look on eBay, you can get sort of 250 pins for about £2 or something like that, I think. So you know, it's not going to cost you a lot. But yeah, it's really good. And if you really want to make sure that everything's all marked up, you can individually mark each one of the winders. You can obviously write on there what pound hook length you've got. You can write on there what length it is. Alternatively, what I'm going to probably do eventually is on the back of here, is just write on here, probably get some labels, stick them on here, and just write down what each colour represents and how long it is, and also what breaking strain I've got on there. But it just gives you a much better way of storing them. You can store a lot more for a lot cheaper, if I'm honest. So check it out and see how you get on.